Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Cascadia Inswinger. I'm Eddie Smith with my co-host John Floresca, and we are talking Vancouver soccer. And over the weekend, they faced RSL, and they came out with the victory. I was watching on social media, and the fans are not really all that convinced that it's going to be a turning point, since it was against another lower team in the standings. What do you think, John?
I think any victory is a positive victory, especially with how many teams make the playoffs this year. You take the 3 points and you run, and you just keep running, and you hope you make it to the playoffs, which is just around the corner, might I add. I think we're, 6 or 7 games left in the season, depending on which team you are. Colorado's postponed a ton of games, so everybody's all over the board with how many games they have left. But you take these 3 points, you're that much closer to a playoff spot. And I think that's what people on MLS, when I was reading different analysts' reviews, is like Vancouver made a statement saying, hey, we want to try to make the playoffs. If they would have dropped this one, they were saying that they were kind of just throwing the season away. But this really was a we're going to fight. We're going to fight till the very end. And I think it was a great move. And I think the decision to start both Montero and Cavallini up top is what's going to really be the turning point in this season. If they can continue to put those two up top going forward, both of them can produce goals. Vancouver can sneak in a few more wins against these lower seeded teams, and they could sneak into the playoffs. I think I was looking at their strength of schedule, and they have an easier strength of schedule compared to other teams. I'm not doubting it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the standings right now, and they are sitting 1 point back uh, of Colorado and Houston. So there's definitely a chance that they can get in there. Colorado's currently holding the final playoff spot, and
With like 4 games in hand or something crazy like that. So they're going to be hard to surpass Colorado depending on how they take those games in hand. But
yeah,
the
we
fact
got
that they're
we got.
only
Oh, go ahead, go
the
ahead.
fact
Sorry.
that there's only one game, 1 point away is a good sign.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is we got a match with Colorado facing Seattle in one of our other shows that we're gonna be posting here soon. So we'll talk more about Colorado uh, when we get into that. So in this match, it started out not that well for Vancouver. In the 37th minute, Krylak was able to get a pretty easy goal in the 37th minute. In fact, it almost looked like the Vancouver defense was just kind of standing there, and RSL was just kind of playing with the ball, finally heading into the back of the net. I mean, what do you think of that?
Yeah, the goal definitely came too easy, and it came at a really bad time because then you go into halftime down 1-0 at home, at their pseudo home, I should say, down 1-0 going into halftime isn't anything to fret about. But it did look like going into the second half of this game that they weren't going to find the energy to make the comeback. Uh, Obviously, they were, and it how happened within a 4 minute span of each other. In the 71st minute, Douglas Martinez gets very unlucky for Real Salt Lake and puts one in the back of his own net. You're looking
That
at
was
one. What?
that was courtesy. I was just gonna say that was courtesy of a Montero free kick too.
Yeah. So that ends up making it 1-1. They get re-energized, and Lucas Cavallini puts one in the back of net 4 minutes later. Bang, bang. They got the lead. They walk away with 3 points. My question to you, Eddie, is now that they're playing in this home away from home, and they're getting more and more games under their belt at Providence Park, should we see more performances like this where you see them start to get more comfortable and start to play into games like this?
I think so. Something that uh, people should know about the differences between uh, BC Place and Providence Park is the pitch, right? That is slower in Portland than up in Vancouver. Up in Vancouver, they have to deal with the BC Lions playing football on the same turf, which definitely makes that turf a lot faster, makes that turf a lot lower. And I think with the speed that Vancouver has up front with Montero and Cavallini, I think it works in their favor.
Yeah, you mentioned the turf. I know that Portland has one of the highest graded turfs in the league. They grade all the turfs for their playability and how accurate they are to grass. And I think Portland's the closest artificial turf to grass in the league. But really, it's going to come down to Portland getting more comfortable, or Vancouver, sorry, getting more comfortable in that Portland stadium, which will be really interesting to talk about later down the road if Portland starts to get too comfortable in that own home or if Vancouver, sorry, getting them so mixed up because they're playing in at Providence Park. If Vancouver gets too comfortable in this secondary home of theirs, how's Portland going to start to feel about that? Are they going to be like, wait a minute, they're getting way too comfortable over here? It'll be really interesting to see. They have what 5 or 6 more games at Providence Park, a game later against Seattle where they're the home team. I'm really excited to see how this home field advantage plays out.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting more curious about how that match is going to be versus Portland when they face them in a few matches, because that's going to be definitely interesting with two teams that are familiar with the home field.
Mhm. Statistically speaking, this game was as equal as it gets. You have 8 shots for each team. You've got 3 shots on target for each team. 51% possession for RSL, 49% for Vancouver. To me, that's a good sign because statistically, Vancouver's been getting outplayed in all of their previous games. I don't think I can think of one where they actually outplayed their opponent statistically. The fact that this was an even balanced game could mean that this team is actually progressing forward. If this carries over and they start to get the statistical advantage against more teams, we could start to see them really start to bring home some points. And that would put them in a really strong playoff position.
I completely agree. It is a great sign for Vancouver. Hopefully, we see more of it uh, in the future matches. Like you said, they have a decent schedule coming up. They have a few teams that are down fighting for a playoff spot. I think the only teams that are right now up there in the playoffs that they're dealing with is LAFC, Seattle, and Portland. So the rest of them are just fighting for a spot right now. So we'll see what happens.
Speaking of LAFC, that's who they have next on the docket, Wednesday, October 14th at 7 p.m. LAFC is coming off a massive win against Seattle, 3-1 on the weekend. All odds would favor LAFC in this game. They're playing in Providence Park. Eddie, do you see this game going against the odds in Vancouver's favor?
It's a tough one for Vancouver for sure, especially after LAFC just beat Seattle in the previous match. So um, also Vela is just itching to get on the field. He was actually at Bank of California Stadium for the LAFC versus Seattle match. So I feel like he's getting closer to being pitch ready. So it's going to be tough either way for Vancouver, whether Vela is on the field or not. Um, but there's always a chance that they can pull out a victory or at least get a point out of this match.
I don't think Vela is going to be on the field. He just started practicing again. That's what the word on the street is. He just started putting in minutes on the pitch again. I don't think we will see him in a game. They're saying he can come on as a sub before the El Trafico game in about a week and a half and then maybe start in El Trafico. That's like the timeline. They're trying to get him back for that big matchup. I don't think they have any reason to use Vela in this matchup. So they will be without him. That obviously does not hurt this LAFC team. They've been without Vela since the MIB tournament, since before the MIB tournament. He came back for 1 or 2 games after, but virtually since the MIB tournament, they've played games without him. The other interesting injury that happened over the weekend that really hurts this LAFC team is Mark Anthony Kaye. I'm a huge Mark Anthony Kaye fan. He's a tall body in the midfield, likes to control the pace of the game, likes to give the LAFC team more possession. So without him on the field, Vancouver might get an extra, 1-2% more of the ball, which with both Montero and Cavallini up top, they could take advantage of that added opportunity to maybe put one or two in the back of the net here. That's the big news that I see coming from this that could tip it in Vancouver's favor. However, I don't think Vancouver will win this one. I'm going to make you make a prediction first, though.
Of course, you're gonna make me do the hard decision first. Um, you know, as much as I really want to pick Vancouver to win this one, or even just get points out of this one, I don't really see it happening, especially after um, LA kind of had their way with Seattle over the weekend. Um, I'm seeing this as a 2-0 scoreline for LA.
2-0. I'm gonna say Vancouver scores. I'm gonna say 2-1. I've got a pretty similar outlook on this game. LAFC's trending way too high up. I know that people will say Vancouver could be trending up after their last win, but not like LAFC is. So I expect them to um, keep moving up the standings with a 2-1.
I, I'd say if Vancouver had beaten one of the playoff teams, that would be a different story for me. But because it was RSL, who is still on the outside looking in, just another bottom feeder team, it's kind of hard to be even more positive than what we are.
Mm-hmm. Well, let us know your thoughts and your predictions in the comments section. Let us know if you think we are underselling Vancouver. Let us know. Also, I'm curious on your thoughts on the double-headed monster of Montero and Cavallini. I want to know what other fans are thinking. I'm loving it. I'm digging it. You tell me your thoughts. Again, this game is Wednesday, October 14th at 7 p.m. You can catch that on ESPN Plus or TSN if you're in Vancouver, YouTube TV if you're in LA. Aside from that, as always, go Cascadia.